doing it for as long as I can and kill as much time as I can. And you know, when I think we all have those days where we're trying to cope and we're trying to like not feel, and we feel this sensation of like, I really want to cry, and it's like, or at least for me, it was like, all right, just push through it, and then there are those days that you wake up and you're like, I can't, I'm just tired. And so I think that paintbrush that just happened to be there was just a last resort, and I remember just grabbing it. You know, it was like 4:30 in the morning when all the doctors say their lovely, like, good morning, lift up your hospital gown. And it was right before that, and I just remember grabbing it and taking the paints and thinking, I really don't know what to do, but like, whatever, whatever. And I just remember dipping it in, and there were canvases all set up that I was just not willing to have anything to do with for so long. And I just remember thinking, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna squeeze this paintbrush really hard, and if I just like pinpoint it on the canvas, I have no idea where I am right now, but that's just gonna like place me somewhere. And I just remember like pushing down. That's why a lot of my art canvases now, they literally have like holes through them. Most of them are like really cheap, like $4.99 ones. But like some are just like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna go. And the first painting I ever made, and was, I'm so good at technology. I'm so good at technology. I hope that it's in this slideshow. Maybe it's not. Oh, look at that. It's not even in the slide. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Hey. Oh, no, stop it. So this is Singing Tree. And the first thing I did was that brown swirl. And the rest of that canvas was blank. And I just remember when I was swirling that, I was like, okay, as long as I hold on to this paintbrush, I know where I am. Okay, it's curving. I had no idea what it was going to be. But slowly, you find your way, whether it's like, cutting off a piece of floss or chopping vegetables or doing a leaf or doing a paintbrush. You find something that gets you in the rhythm of, it's not numbing out, but you're like, okay, you're okay for now. Like you're in a place you need to be where you're not thinking yourself or trying to think through everything, and you're just here. And that was my way of being with whatever I was feeling. And for me, this also showed me like the transformative power of art, because like at that time, it was like the most miserable time of my life. Like I wanted to scream, but you can't do that there because they'll get psychiatry right there and be like, all right, bed rest. But so this was my way of screaming. And now when people look at this, they're like, oh, that's the happiest painting I've ever seen. And the truth is, like, now I'm happy looking at it. And I think that's the best reason, at least, why I create art. Because we can create it in such a really difficult time. And then it may take a week, it may take like 10 years. I did this in 2010. But there comes a time where we look at it and we can kind of like remember the pain, but it's like a memory. It's not like we're sunken in that. We remember what it's like to feel something in that, but it's like, oh, now it's like, I remember that, and now I just get the joy, and I get to show it for other people, and they feel that joy too, and maybe they can understand some of the pain I was going through without me like hitting them over the head and be like, this is what it felt like when I couldn't eat. And that's what I love as artists. Like, we can create an experience for people, and not as like a pity me, like why me thing, but as like a, this is something that we all have, but we all can find ways to transform it. And it's a reminder to us too, because when we think we've overcome one detour, another one happens, and we'll need, or I'll need this reminder at another sucky time in my life when I'm like, oh, I remember this. So anyway, that was my venture into art, and whatever I do, I kind of do obsessively, and And so when I got home from the hospital, I still had this awful, wound opening, this fistula that would not heal, but I kept staying home, and doctors still wouldn't let me eat or drink after that, with no timeline. So I just stayed in my art studio, and I did art and art and art and art. This is, dancing on shattered glass. This was something I made in the hospital, what did it say, broken wings or something like that. I hate titling stuff. So benefits of creativity, blah, blah. It's like, you're here, so creativity is a good thing. So I talk a lot about finding a container, because, I think, and I was talking about this in the workshop again, but a book that changed my life was Peter Levine, Waking the Tiger. He studied animals in the wild and noticed that, they get, whether it's a polar bear being tranquilized, that will just, freeze there, and then there's actually a video on his site where you'll see the polar bear just shaking and shaking and shaking for hours until, that's that immobilized, frozen, stuck energy and trauma, and it's that polar bear's natural way of, okay, I know I have to restore homeostasis and get this energy out of me. And then, that passes and the bear moves on. And the example I was using this morning is a gazelle, running in the wild, that gets, attacked, plays dead, waits till the threat is gone, and then runs and runs and runs for miles until that animal instinctively restores its homeostasis, and then it's back to normal. They don't have all the wonderful, complicated thinking skills we have, where we take that energy and we hold it in, and we're like, stigma, anxiety, fear, all these words that we love to just plaster ourselves in, and that keeps us frozen. And for me, that gazelle running off energy really resonated with me, because I just kept literally walking around in circles, just because I knew there was something in me I wanted to get rid of, but I wasn't getting rid of it. It just kept getting worse. So I'm like, this isn't working. His whole thing is, that is just energy. And so, I always loved biology, and I remembered the law of conservation of energy, that you can't destroy it, it's just there. So then I was thinking, okay, biology, it's always there, it's science, so it's a fact. And then artists, you can take energy and shift it, like an artist blowing glass, using that heat energy to turn it into something different. So technically, I can take that stuck energy and I can just use it for something. And even if it's not going to give me a digestive system tomorrow, I can do something that I can control that can take me a step. I don't know if it's further, I don't know if it's a week closer to getting able to eat, but it's going to take me outside of this stuck place. And that's all I want to get. I just want to get out of this stuck place and into some kind of landing where I can see sun or something that can grow me in some other direction. And that will take me somewhere else, but I know I just can't stay stuck. That makes sense. I just feel like I just rambled. That was my energy going into detail. But anyway, so my energy was being expressed through my art, which was really just me taking a canvas, and literally, you should see me in my studio. I throw whatever tubes of paint are left over that I want to get rid of, and you'll literally hear banging from my studio, because I'll either just take it on the canvas and just bang it and see where the paint goes and be like, oh, that will give me an idea to go that way. Words for me were the hardest. I was not good at verbalizing things. Or I talked and talked and talked, and it didn't really seem to go anywhere. But that art got me to a place where I could actually process what was happening. And oh, I get bonus points if I put this slide in here. Oh, come on. Let's see. I don't even know. Oh, darn it. What the? Darn it. Oh, how did I get to present to you? Oh, well. Well, look at this. Oh, I can see them all here, and so can you. Well, anyway, this is like one of them. The painting I was going to show you is kind of like that. So just imagine that, but something else. It's called the one on the left. No, the one on the right. The one on the right. My world has split, and I do a lot of paintings where it's the duality of being split open. And at that time, I didn't know what post-traumatic stress disorder was. I didn't know about, anything like that. But I could just tell my life before was one way, and one shape, and one color, and life before was after. So painting these dualities over and over again, and like the blurriness, I could feel, oh, look, it is here. Oh yeah, it's, my world has split. So like my high school self with like my backpack is on one side and I have the hospital gown on me the other. And that was the second painting that I did in the hospital because I didn't know what it was, but I could sense some kind of tearing apart. So anyway, to stop rambling, it took a long time before I could put words to that. And then I started journaling for just hours and hours and hours. And I knew this was important for me. It was a lot of rambling. I know you can't imagine that for me at all. But it was a lot of writing, but it was important because I needed to actually clarify for myself what I had been through. Even the sexual abuse before my coma, and then all the medical stuff. But again, it had no shape, no form, or anything. So I was still wondering, like, okay, I'm getting all this out, but like, doctors still won't tell me what I'm gonna eat or drink. My life feels like I'm still waiting for answers. I'm isolated. I step outside and people are drinking water bottles. Like, what do I do? So again, thank you, my local Barnes & Nobles. Pacing through Barnes & Noble is my usual thing. And I see the bargain books. And there's a book of mythology. And I start flipping through and I notice that they all have this idea of going into the darkness, coming out transformed, very like Star Wars-like. And that's how I noticed that the archetypal hero's journey, which may not resonate for everyone, and it didn't always resonate at certain times in my life or now, but at that time, I needed a clear path that I could at least follow for now, that, oh, this dark period I'm feeling, there are people have taken these crazy ways out, and I can do the same. So my writing started to take the shape of that, where I would start writing about my story, but then imagine this in this like surreal world, and I became this warrior, like fighting things. And that helped me get, again, not to the ultimate solution, but they helped me get to another landing, which I needed. And then ultimately that led to more wonderful PowerPoint presentation skills. That gutless and grateful for, you saw it before. There it is. I don't know. Yeah, that. So in 2012, I took those monologues that weren't rambling, I turned those journal entries into monologues to make an arc of my story. And for me, that was an important step of my process because I still just saw my life as this kind of series of events, but forcing myself to tie that into a piece of theater where I thought you needed a climax, a dramatic arc, things like that, I was forced to actually see what do I want audiences to take away? What was the lesson I wanted to learn? And so I didn't really necessarily find any meaning for me, which I needed to find at that time, until I put that show together. So for me, creating theater and going back to what I love, plus using it as a way to reframe everything that had happened so far, that was a really big step for me. And plus, it was the first time I was really verbally sharing it to people, let alone total New York strangers. Now, at that time,